Hello and welcome to the fourth and final quarterfinals match of the March Madness tournament series. Today, Jund Midrange will be facing Golgari Graveyard. We will be playing out the Jund side, while Yurtle will be on Golgari Graveyard. In game 1 we mulligan a 1-lander and keep a decent second hand, and we lead off with a tri-land. On turn 2 we will likely play another tapped land instead of playing the Visionary, because we would rather play our bigger cards on curve and we can still play the Visionary on 3. Opponent plays a Wayfinder revealing a Graveborn Muse and a Shieldred Whispering one. We play out the Visionary revealing a Forest, but we can still play our tapped land here since we don't have any other plays. Opponent plays a Guildgate as well and doesn't have another play either, as we play another Visionary, drawing into a Shock, and pause the turn with 2 mana available. Opponent does not attack and does not have any plays, so likely has a very expensive hand. So we attack with our 2 Visionaries and play out an Arbor Colossus. So now our opponent traded away his blocker, and we can maybe attack with our Arbor Colossus. Opponent has 5 mana and decides to cast a Spider Spawning, making 3 1/2 spider tokens with reach. And here we have a lot of burn spells in hand and an Anger of the Gods, but we just decide to attack with our Arbor Colossus and not pull the trigger quite yet on this Anger of the Gods, as our opponent casts a Dead Reckoning on the Shieldred Whispering one, taking out the Arbor Colossus and putting Shieldred on top, so we know what our opponent's gonna play for the next turn. As we just pause the turn, we don't use any of our removal spells quite yet. Our opponent plays the Shieldred, which we knew about, and causes us to sacrifice the Elvish Visionary. And here we could use Anger of the Gods plus our Resounding Thunder to take out Shieldred and the spiders, but we decide to just kick the Mold Shambler, taking out a gate, and wait another turn to hopefully take out even more creatures. As our opponent plays the Wayfinder thanks to Shieldred, reveals not very many creatures, attacks for 6 thanks to Swampwalk we cannot block, and plays another Elvish Visionary as well as another Spider Spawning, making 2 spider tokens, causing us to sacrifice Mold Shambler due to the Shieldred. But now we go ahead and kill the Shieldred as well as all the other creatures thanks to Anger of the Gods plus Resounding Thunder. Opponent plays a Wayfinder and does reveal another creature and another Spider Spawning, has all 3 now in his graveyard, as we play Plaka Worm with Shock Up in case our opponent goes for a rescue. And our opponent's just gonna play a Gristlebrand 7/7 flying lifelink with the ability to pay 7 life and draw 7 cards. And here we're just going to play out the Runescar Demon. There's a lot of things we can fetch, but we decide to just go for the Ground Assault to take out the Gristlebrand, rather than go for another big creature which we already have in hand. So we take out the Gristlebrand, opponent's gonna activate him first, paying 7 life and drawing 7 cards. An attack puts the opponent down to 5 life, but he probably has a pretty stacked hand now. Plays a Shadowborn Demon taking out Plaka Worm, drawing us a card, plays Elvish Visionary plus a Necromancer's Assistant, milling some more creatures. Has to discard end of turn because his hand is too full, but we top deck a Resounding Thunder, which is going to get cycled to deal 6 damage to the opponent. So Jund Midrange is up 1-0 over Golgari Graveyard. In game 2 we mulligan a hand with 3 7-drops and keep a decent second hand with a double Cultivate and Anger of the Gods. We lead with a Golgari Guildgate. The opponent's gonna play a turn 2 Satyr Wayfinder, revealing a Masked Admirers and 2 Rescue from the Underworld. We play another tap land, the opponent hits us for 1 and plays a Necromancer's Assistant, putting some more cards in the graveyard, and passes a turn. We decide to go for a Cultivate here, grabbing some more basic lands, and decide to hold off the Anger of the Gods for a while. Opponent hits us for 4, we go down to 15, and the opponent's gonna play another Satyr Wayfinder, and has a pretty full graveyard at this point, including a Spider Spawning. And now it's time to fire off an Anger of the Gods, because our life total is getting pretty low, especially if we have a Graveborn Muse in hand. We want to draw some cards. Opponent plays another Necromancer's Assistant and gets back the Masked Admirers from the graveyard. And here we decide to cast another Cultivate, getting some more lands, and play out a Guildgate and pause the turn, not firing off the Ground Assault quite yet. We get hit down to 12 life, and the opponent's going to play out the Masked Admirers, drawing a card, and the Elvish Visionary. So now we can fire off this second Anger of the Gods, exiling the creatures, so the spider spawning gets a lot worse, and play out Graveborn Muse. The opponent has 7 mana available, casts a Runescar Demon, which likely gets a second Runescar Demon. But we do have a Ground Assault, draw 2 cards of the Graveborn Muse at the cost of 1 life, play out Pelakka Wurm and cast Ground Assault on the Runescar Demon, attack for 3, putting the opponent down to 17 life. And we do have a second Ground Assault in hand. Our opponent plays an Elvish Visionary, plays another land and passes the turn, likely with a Rescue from the Underworld in hand. We attack, the opponent's gonna block the Muse, cast the Rescue, sending away the Elvish Visionary, likely getting back a Runescar Demon. 7 trampling damage puts the opponent to 10. We play out our Arbor Colossus and another Cultivate. The Runescar Demon comes back and gives him another Demonic Tutor. Plays out Pelakka Wurm to go back up to 17 life. We keep drawing some lands with the Graveborn Muse. Our Arbor Colossus takes out the Runescar Demon with the Monstrous, and Ground Assault takes out Pelakka Wurm. We attack with everyone, hit him for 10 down to 7. And here our opponent can use a Dead Reckoning, taking out Pelakka Wurm, getting back his own Pelakka Wurm, so next turn he can gain some life. As we draw a Stormbreath Dragon of the trigger of Pelakka Wurm, our opponent casts another Spider Spawning, only making 4 1/2 reach spider tokens. So we decide to play out Stormbreath Dragon, not activating the Monstrosity ability quite yet, and we attack with both our creatures. Our opponent just chumps one of each, and now we can pause the turn with the Monstrosity ability available of Stormbreath Dragon, and as soon as our opponent draws a card we can activate it, dealing 1 damage for each card in hand, which now is 6, so the opponent drops to 1 life. And our opponent's gonna play the Pelakka Wurm that we knew about, gaining 7 life and passing the turn. And here we draw a Runescar Demon, which can find us a Banefire to finish off the opponent next turn. But we can't finish him off quite yet this turn. But we decide to attack with the Arbor Colossus and the Dragon. Our opponent is gonna chump them both. And now we can simply cast our Runescar Demon, find the Banefire, and since we can't use the Banefire this turn, we decide to play the Mold Shambler Kicked, destroying one of the lands. There's no Guildgate, so we just destroy a swamp. Our opponent has 9 mana available, has to flash back a Spider Spawning to make some blockers for our creatures, plays a Satyr Wayfinder, but that's not going to stop a Banefire, and a Banefire for 13 is going to be more than enough to take the game and the match. So Junt Midrange will advance to the second semi-finals match, where it will be facing Mono White Exalted Auras. But for now, I wanna thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and as always, have a nice day.